Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
What is interoperability? Basically, if we see in healthcare, interoperability focuses on securely sharing sensitive data like medical records to improve the outcome. Let's take an example. Example is like this, that Charan is seeing multiple doctors. Charan is seeing multiple doctors. Karan visited his first primary care physician. Do you know what primary care physician is? He is the first point of contact whenever you feel anything like you suffer from anything or you need medical treatment or, let's say, medical care you need. Primary care physician is your first point of contact. You cannot directly go to any specialist and tell him that I'm not feeling well. The first point of contact for you is PCP. Charan went to PCP because of persistent headache. Let's take headache for instance. Some feeling from some sore throat. Where were we? Let's say Charan visited PCP because of persistent headache. Now the PCP orders a CT scan for Charan, which is to be performed at a imaging center or, let's say, other laboratory. Charan will go there. He will do all those CT scans and all. And now the imaging center. The imaging center will send the CT scan result electronically to the PCP, that is primary care provider. Based on the result, the PCP, which you refer to as the first point of contact, refers you to a neurologist. The neurologist accesses your full medical records directly through their system without needing a printed report of facts here. This is how interoperability is working, that different systems, that the first system is your PCP electronic health record EHR. The second system is the imaging center and the third is the neurologist system. All can share data seamlessly and effortlessly. The systems are designed in the way that they are already implementing interoperability between all the different systems. The system interprets and uses the data in a meaningful way to provide coordinated care already. This is how interoperability is. We can share data seamlessly and effortlessly. Interoperability is not only used in healthcare terms. I'm sure like it happens in different scenarios. Yes, definitely. Interoperability is a term. But we are talking about healthcare interoperability. Let's take an example of non-healthcare interoperability. The example might be in this way that, let's say you are having a smart home system. You are having smart lights, smart fans, smart speaker, that is Alexa or Google Assistant, anything. Now you tell your Alexa or Google Assistant that turn off the lights and turn off the fan. The speaker will send a command to the smart light and smart fan to turn off and turn on. This is how here also interoperability is implemented, that all of the system, all of the machines, that is Fanlights, Alexa, Google Assistant, all of them are from different companies. But still they can interact with each other and they can interact with each device separately because they are using common protocols. Already interoperability is implemented there. The data is shared effortlessly and the job is done here successfully. This was interoperability in non-healthcare terms. And we also saw what interoperability is in healthcare terms. Any confusion or doubt in this? Again, interoperability is a term. It is not a system or something. Interoperability is a term when a system is compatible with other system to send data. We will say that those two systems are interoperable. That's it. In healthcare terms, for the interoperability, does HL7 providing any tool or is it provides just standards? No tool is there for H7. There is a standard. HL7 provides HL7 is itself a standard and HL7 provide framework that is HL7 v2 or FIRE. Let's take a different example. Let's leave all of it back. Let's take a very naive example. You are Ram and one is Charan. Now Ram is sending some information to Charan. And Charan is also understanding that information and Ram also has not to transform the messages or something, just he has to send the information, just that's it. And Charan is able to understand it. Here also interoperability is implemented. You are able to send the data effortlessly and efficiently. But you think of it like Ram is one of the system and Charan is one of the system. Now they both can communicate easily, effectively and efficiently. They already implemented the interoperability term. Do you get it now, guys? Very good. Let's move ahead. We already understood what HIR is. That is a standard framework developed by HL7 by exchanging healthcare information electronically. Very good. If we were aware of the HIE, that is the Health Information Exchange. HIE is basically the process of sharing healthcare information electronically. Let's say there are two systems and they both are sending some data. That is the healthcare data electronically. They already are doing HIE, that is the Health Information Exchange. Any confusion or doubt in this? We are already aware of the PHI, that is the unique identifier of an individual. That PHI can include S and patient's name, patient's MRN. Smart FR, that's fine. If you do not get it, it is a framework for now. Just think of it like a framework. When we will start implementing Smart in FIR, at that time we will get into the depth of it. Let's look at the basics, terminology, part 2. This, I guess you are already aware of. This is because this slide is very common. I use this one and why I implemented this terminology, because most of the people don't know what even the terms are. They started from scratch. That is why this slide is included. Then also we will go through this one, that the first is the patient. Any person visiting doctor, or let's say for any kind of consultancy or treatment, will be referred to as a patient. Provider will be the doctor who will provide treatment to patient. The payer will be the insurance company who will cover patient for any diseases. The practice will be the place where the treatment is provided and the provider and patient visits. That will be called a practice. And the patient demographics, basically the basic information needed to create patient account and doctor software. That information is referred to as patient demographic. Any confusion or doubt in this information? There's some more thing I would like you to know. There are basically the PCP, the primary care physician, a doctor who see the patient for the first time. And there is a specialist, a doctor who is specialized to treat a particular treatment, like a neurologist or let's say a gynecologist. They are specialists. And then there are other things related to insurance also. That's fine if you do not want to cover information thing here. Do you know what US healthcare flow is? Can you try to explain me once? Healthcare works on three terms, three P's. One is patient. Another is a provider and a payer. When patient comes to a hospital, he receives treatment. Like here, the caregiver is a provider. No provider need to claim some like a payment. He might directly get a payment from the patient, or else he will send some claims to the payer. Here, payer in the sense provider, payer in the sense here patient might pay some insurance or some installment payments for his insurance claim. Based on that information, these payers will send a particular amount of treatment amount to the provider now that the claim completes. Yes, exactly. This was correct. In this process, the total process will come under the revenue cycle management process. In this process flow, there will be billing and medical coding, and if the claim gets denied, and there will be another team to check the denials. There will be a connection between the provider payer for claiming the reimbursement from the payer side. These patients will have primary, secondary, tertiary insurance also, and other federal policies will be also there. That is Medicare and Medicaid policies. These are the terms I was looking for. At least this is the best approach to describe the flow. At least you are already aware of the terms Medicare, Medicaid, primary care physician, the medical coding, the claim billing, the copay posting. But still, let's organize this all flow, organize all of this information into one flow. You can also note this down, and we will call this the US healthcare flow, total US healthcare flow. Step 1 will be the appointment or scheduling. We will call it appointment scheduling. The patient calls and book appointment. This will be the first step of US healthcare flow always. If someone asks you if you have worked with US healthcare flow and what is the first step? The first step will be the appointment scheduling. Either it is at the front desk or maybe the patient can call and schedule an appointment or through any other third-party application. Do you get it, guys? Yes, through my cart also, they can schedule appointments. That's what I said. The third-party applications like EHRs or anything. The first step always will be, this is the basic step, but most of the people forget that they have to start with appointment or scheduling. The second step will be the front desk. All the documents, scanning and other formalities will be carried out at the front desk. And the third step will be the demographic entry. In this demographic entry, all the necessary information is updated for a patient. After the demographic entry, the fourth step will be the encounter. Patient is being seen by a doctor now. Now, once the doctor visit is done, while the doctor visit is going on, there will be medical transcription or let's say medical transcribe. Here, what will happen is the conversation between the patient and doctor will be recorded in a device, and that device data, that basically the voice file, is converted to medical record. Then, do you get it? And then that voice file will be passed through a software which will do the medical coding. And while doing that medical coding, that software will get the CPT diagnosis, the CPT coders, yes, all the diseases and all what all things are discussed. On basis of that CPT code, the claim billing will be done. The claim will be posted into system on basis of the CPT codes. And then after the claim is processed in the system, there will be copay posting. That will allow us to collect the payment as copayment. And then after copayment, there will be claim inspection or filing, because after copayment is basically a small amount collected from the patient itself. Or let's say the insurance itself for a patient. There are terms in the insurance that, let's say the few of the insurance does not cover copayment. A few of the insurance does cover copayment as well. Copayment is though a small amount of money has to be paid to a doctor. It has to be paid on the front desk itself to the doctor. After the claim billing is filed, the eighth step will be copay posting. That payment will be collected as copayment. After that, claim inspection or filing is the next step, in which our quality check is done on filed claims. If there is any fault, if there is any information which is not correct. And then there's ETI, correction minor validation, checks and clean the claims. That at the next step the claim won't get rejected. There are 2 quality checks totally done on the claim itself. And then there's patient denial posting. Sorry, not patient payment denial posting. This is basically received payment against the claims. And then the last one is the AR follow-up. The AR team works on denials as soon as possible. They receive along with the aging claim. The AR team is a specialized team that will work only on the denied claims. And there are some pending claims also in the practice. The AR team will deal with that claims also. Any confusion or doubt in the US healthcare flow? It's clear this is complete revenue cycle management. Yes, exactly. We can call it revenue cycle management. But it includes end-to-end flow, that is the patient diagnosis getting the CPT code. Exactly. Let's move on to our next slide. That is what is HL7 and what is its history. HL7, we are talking about HL7 V2, V3 feature, but we are not aware what is HL7. HL7 is basically the health level 7 and it is a set of international standard for the exchange, integration, sharing and retrieval of EHI. This is all the definition. Let's take an example. Before HL7 was introduced, let's say people like before HL7 was even introduced there. Let's take an example. There were two practices. That is, one is the hospital and one is a clinic. Clinic will store data in its own format. The patient demographics, the clinic will store it in its own format. The hospital will store it in its own format. Do you guys get it? Let's say there are two practices. Both of the practices will store the data in its own format before HL7 was introduced. If they are using their own format to store the data while transferring the data to, let's say, there is a need for a clinic to send data to a hospital. The patient allergen information, or let's say patient medical history. There was a need for a clinic to send data to the hospital. At that time, the clinic will send his own data, whatever they have collected. They won't think about the hospital. That hospital might need this information or that information. They won't think about it. Because they have already collected the data in their own format and they will send that data only. This was a major problem in the US. Not only in the US. There's a major problem worldwide that all of the systems were using their own data format. They were not using a system. They were not complying with each other. A bunch of people came together and introduced HL7. They formed HL. HL7 is basically health level 7. When the HL7 was formed, the HL7 organization told that we will provide you a set of rules and you have to comply with those rules to store the data. That is the electronic health information EHI. Not only store the data, but the retrieval of data also. We will give you the set of rules and you need to follow that everyone will be at a good shape. When HL7 was introduced, HL7 gave a set of standards, international standards, that all the countries will follow that standard and store the data in the similar format. Let's say if there is a need now for a hospital to send data to clinic. Now the hospital need not to worry about the format. The hospital will directly send the data to the clinic. Also the vice versa, the clinic will also directly send the data to the hospital. There will be no miscommunication between both of them because the data is already stored according to the standard rule. Do you get it now? Now you understood what CHIT is. The main purpose of HL7 was basically to help facilitate interoperability across healthcare system by providing a common framework for data exchange. By this term, are you now trying to get things? Is the fog clearing up now in your mind? HL7 was the one which was. HL7 is, first of all, is a non-profit organization and it helps facilitate interoperability across healthcare system by providing a common framework. Let's say HL7 send file at v3. There were different versions of HL7 also. The first version is HL7 which is developed in 1987. And this was also the founding version of HL7. As we discussed yesterday when HL7 was introduced. At that time, almost 95% of the market was already covered by HL7 And soon after, there was a need for data increase. As data is emerging day by day, there is always a need for a newer version. New functionalities are always needed. That is why H7v3 was introduced in 1990s. But the thing is, many people were not able to adopt HL7v3 due to stricter format. They did not want their data to be in a strict and regulated format because this is healthcare data. There can be some mismatch in the data. This is not predefined data. This is a totally healthcare data and any data can be a mismatch. But they do not want that, as that is why HL7v3 never came into boom. Never really utilized, never have been really utilized. Then soon after 10 years in the 2000s, CDA and CCTA document were introduced. CDA and CCTA document gave the providers and physician a very good search, basically because the whole of the patient record was like formatted in a document itself. Let me show you a document quickly, a CDA document. How does it look like? Do you guys have any idea? How does it look like? Do you mean the medical reports? Oh, no, not the medical reports also will work, but just the CDA and CCTA. Let's take a document. I have a CCTA document. This is the CCTA viewer. You are able to see my screen. Yes. Now I have pasted the document here, uploaded it. Now this is how a CCTA document will look like. The patient is female adult. The patient ID is this and date of birth is October 9, 1932, 31 years. Gender is female. All the information is directly viewed on a document. Like his allergen information, his results, his reason for referral medications, whatever that is, immunization, social history, all of his records are directly visible to the naked eye in the form of document. HL7 developed this system to visualize the data in the form of CDA and CCTA. Clinical document architecture and consolidated clinical document architecture. In 2011, as now people were aware of the data in the form of CDA, CCTA, HL7v2, HL7v3. But the thing is, data was always emerging. Data did not stop emerging. Data was emerging day by day, day by day, day by day. And there was a need and attackers, and all the people who can misuse the patient's information or healthcare information were also emerging day by day. There was a need for a secure system. In the early 2011, FHI was introduced. The first version of HAR was DHTU1, that is the draft standard for trial use 1. This was never really given to the public to use, because this was a trial use one, and few of the people were able to access the DHTU1. And those people reported bugs, and those people reported the security measures. And then, after their feedback, DHTU2 was developed. But it was decided that DHTU2 will also be for a trial use only. After the feedback from DHT2, also R3 version was introduced, that is STU3. R3 is also called ST3. Now STU3 version was available to public use. Whoever wanted to shift from H7v2 to FIFR can now use STU3 version. And soon after, the R4 version was released. And R4 version is the most secure and widely used version until now. And then after R4, R5 is in development process, that is the beta process. R5 is also introduced, but that is a beta version now. And there are some few more versions, that is R4 beta. And then I think R4 beta is the one, R4B that is. That is the one, and then R5 beta also is there. These are all the different versions of HL7 and different versions of HIR. We will be working now with different versions of FHIR. And we will be targeting the FHIR4 version. Because HIR4 version is the most stable one and also the most widely used in FHIR category. Understood what I was trying to convey? Now Kenchan, can you explain me once again what HL7 is? HL7. It is a non-profit organization which is formed to set some standards for exchanging of health information between different offices of Linux. It is majorly like a facilitate the interoperability across the healthcare systems. And also there are different versions of the HL7, that is V2, V3. And we have another format, that is CDA, which is a clinical data architecture. Clinical document architecture, because in CD, we always store the data in the form of document. And later on another version is introduced, that is HR. In FHIR also, there are two different trial versions, IBIS T1 and 2. And later on R3, R4, 5 beta and R4. In R4 also there is R4B beta, R4 beta. Yes, exactly. This was good enough. I think you are getting a gist of it now. What HL7 is, what FHIR is, and what interoperability is. Let's understand more of HR, because at the end we will be working on FHIR itself. Let's understand FHIR and why it is crucial in modern healthcare. FHIR is basically, FHIR is a modern standard for exchanging healthcare data electronically. Got it. Any confusion in what is SRL? Now let's go on to the purpose of FHIR. The purpose of HIR is basically, it provides a flexible, fast and secure way to exchange healthcare information between different systems. Because HIR uses a REST APIs, and by the use of REST APIs, we can directly get the response within milliseconds. And also to get the data, we need to authorize ourselves and authenticate ourselves that I am this person and I am having the correct privileges to use the healthcare data. Please give me this data. FHIR provides that capability by authorizing and authenticating the user. That is why it is flexible, fast, and the most secure way to exchange healthcare information. Understood. What is the purpose basically? And why FSI is crucial in modern healthcare? Basically because it promotes data security and privacy. HR is a technology. FHR is a standard. Not technology. FHR is a standard designed to work with security protocols like OAuth 2, ensuring the data is shared securely and with proper consent at every step whenever data is shared. As I told you, you will be authenticated and authorized. And with the proper consent, only data will be shared. Without that, there will be no exchange of data. Let's say, while accessing a resource, you said that I want a patient resource to be, I want to access to read the patient resource. And you were being given the permission that you can read the patient resource. But now, at the same point, you are trying to update something in the patient resource. You are trying to write into it. This will also be checked at every step. And you won't be allowed to write into the patient resource. This is how security is maintained in HEIR. Other framework, they don't have any. They need not to take any consent for exchange of data. Only I have to combine with some API regulations or we need to follow. Yes, EPA is there and there are many more rules. IPA is the most basic one. There are more internal rules which organizations should need to comply with. Let's take an example of HL7 V2. V2 was basically what? What was happening is V2. Let's say you are having a blood pressure device. That blood pressure device will gather all the information of your blood pressure whenever that machine is applied to you. That machine will gather all the information and the technician will send. That will let the device send the data to your primary care physician. Now the device, the blood pressure device will trigger a message to PCP that this is the record. Now in between there will be there will be no checking that if I'm sending it to the correct server, if I'm sending the data to the correct receiver. This was not happening in HL7 V2. The device was directly sending the data and PCP was receiving it. There was always a threat of data exposure. That is why within FetchIR, what will happen is all the device identity will also be checked. Also the PCP, the primary care physician's identity will also be checked. Along with that, the authorization and access will also be checked. That if he's having the access to get the data or not, then only the device will send the data. This is how secure FetchIR is. Because HR is the only version now which has implemented REST APIs. And REST APIs use OAuth 2.0 protocol to basically secure the data exchange. This is the most efficient protocol now in the market available. That is the OAuth 2.0, and after 2.2, there is one more protocol, that is the MFA multi-factor authentication. These two protocols are the most secure one. MFA has also been implemented in HR, but now that work is in progress. OAuth 2.2 is the one which we will be also looking at. And again, there is one video which I shared with you, the REST API ones. I think I got a chance to look at it. iOS. In that, have they discussed about the OAuth 2.2 protocol? They don't understand completely about. I'm unable to grab what I say. That's fine. Totally fine. After this session, tomorrow we will be starting with Python plus REST APIs. I will be sharing some of the few links that will include REST API and OAuth 2.0 protocol and some of the more basics of Python. Just you guys remember and let me know when the session will over. I will share the link that you will get the understanding what OAuth 2.0 is, at least a basic one. What REST API is. And what we will be dealing with. Python basics. That's fine. If you at least REST API, you understand now what REST APIs are. Did you get the answer? I haven't seen that video, but I have gone to Python. That's fine. Let me show you quickly what REST API is. You see my screen, this CD8 viewer. You are able to see my Chrome window. Now let's say I enter a URL that is biocolatech.com. For an example. This URL is basically the REST API. This is the API. And if this is the API I am making to the Kotak Bank server. And they are returning me this response. Now this domain is not purchased by Kotak Bank. Let me take you to the different thing that in Wo Facebook account. I am using the REST API to go to the Facebook server's login page. This is the REST. I'm trying to get the data from the REST API. Similarly, if I show you some of the examples of REST API, let me share my Postman screen. This one. You are able to see my Postman screen. This is the example of REST API. This is the you are aware of eClinicalWorks, eChair. Similar to API, there are different HRs like eClinicalWorks, EMDS, or let's say AllScript. AllScript is not HR. It provides HR. This is equally. Let's take an example of APIC only. In this APIC, this is basically their server address, vendor services, account. And I'm calling that API for, and this is FCR API and the version of API is R4. I'm requesting patient resource from that API with the help of ID. And this is the ID of the patient. And I'm getting the response then. That this is the patient you requested. This is a REST API and this is a GT operation. GT operation will get me the data. Similarly, there will be post operation in post operation. I'm generating a token. I'm sending my client assertion, client detail. My user ID password kind of thing. Think of it like a user ID. I'm sending some data. I will be doing a post operation on the token endpoint. Once that I can get a token. What that token will do. Let me show you the response. This is my access token. With the help of this access token only, I will be able to access the resources, that is patient provider. Without once I get this token, if I go to the single patient response, I show you authorization. Here is the BRL token. I will paste the token here and then token will help the server to authorize me that I am the user and I am requesting the resources. If I have the proper privileges, I can get the data. I had the proper privileges. The server checked it and gave me this patient response which I requested for. Got it. Just a gist of it at least what REST API is. Basically the REST API. I will communicate with the server. Now let's say you are using Instagram. You know that you clicked on the Reel section or let's say the Feed section. There are REST APIs within that. Let me show you quickly. File document only. Just look at the bottom left of the page. This is the file documentation. Now if I click on home, you see this is an URL that is hl7org/index.html. And if I click on getting started, then the URL changes. Yes, this is the documentation URL. This is the data type URL. If I click on this, then some different data is visible to me. If I click on getting started, some different data is visible to me. How it is happening? Because of the REST APIs. This API, basically the index.html, will interact with my server that I am requesting the index page. That is the home page. If I click on getting started, then the REST API, the help/org/fire/modules go to my server and ask for modules. .html. That is the getting started page here. This is the REST API. This is how REST API is working and getting data. Got it now? One more thing. What is it basically? REST API. Let's say you are a client. Client is your laptop. With the help of client, you requested something that's, let's say, your Instagram login page. You requested something. That URL will go to the server. We just saw the URL here. This is the URL kind of thing. That again, this is you, the client and your phone, or let's say laptop. You requested some of its URL. That is, let's say, /login page. You requested for the login page of Instagram. That URL will connect with the server. And then, in the server there are already login pages or let's say the data. Your data login page, data that is present in the server. That server will send you the response in the format of JSON format. And then that JSON will be transformed again to show you the visible things on your client machine. Got it now? Any confusion or doubt? You are able to see my Postman screen. This Postman you are able to see. Again, let's do it again. Let's take an example of my chart. In my chart, what you did was you entered this ID or let's say you selected a patient. You selected a patient. You clicked on search. But in the backend, what will happen? In the backend, there is some URL like this URL patient URL. And that URL will be triggered with the selected ID. Once that URL is triggered with the selected ID, you will get a response. Let's say the patient response here. Here is the resource type patient. And this is the ID. The patient response is that my first name is Fred Flintstone. My family name is Flintstone. Given name is Fred. This is all the data which will be visible to you on your home screen. When you selected a patient with a particular ID, that AP, I gave you response in the form of this JSON. And then this JSON, with the help of some coding, you will filter out the data and show that data on your UI. That's it. UI means your home screen. This data, this JSON data, only you are viewing on your home screen also. But the thing is this is the JSON response. Now you will be getting the useful information from this JSON response. And that useful information will only be shown to you. And how that is happening? We will be coding. We will be doing coding for that thing. With the help of coding, we will get the useful data and we will show that data to the user. That is you. Now any confusion about the REST API thing? What backend processes are happening? Do you get it now when you select a patient or something? Similarly, if you select a bunch of patients also, or let's say you are falling for the encounters of a patient, the URL will change from patient to encounter, and then the encounter resources will be fetched. Any confusion or doubt in this thing? I'm getting it. If you are really getting it, then let me know. If you have any confusion or doubt in your mind now, just ask it up front. We are here to learn. I will try my best to clear your doubt. Let's move on to the next point, that is, it supports web and mobile applications. How? Basically with the help of REST APIs. How? Basically it will support web and mobile applications. Let's say you are using Instagram. Instagram is also available in laptop. Instagram is also available in tablet. Instagram is also available in phone. You are getting my point. Instagram is same, but it is always. It is also available in 3 different devices and we can also log in to 3 different devices. And we will get the similar data. How is it possible? Basically, what is happening is all of those devices are communicating to the server with the help of REST API. There are APIs which will get the data, and that data will only be presented to you into a presentable format. That is how Fetch is also. Fetch IR can also support web application and mobile application with the help of REST APIs. Let me show you. This thing will work. This is you. That is, you are the client. One is the laptop, one is the tablet, and one is your phone. With laptop, what you are trying to get is you are you. You entered a. You're trying to get all of your followers list. In laptop, you're trying to get all of your followers list in phone. You're trying to create your new account. But in tablet, you're trying to update your previous account name. All of these things will be carried out with the help of REST APIs and that REST API. I will directly go to the server that is the database or server, and then they will update it there. Get you the information, and that information will be filtered out and be fitted into a presentable view, and then that will be shown to you. Got it now? REST APIs, what exactly REST APIs are doing? REST APIs are acting as a media curve between you and the server. REST APIs. What REST APIs, think of it like REST APIs work is to send the request from you to the database. And once the database has the data, and also get the data from the database and send it to you. If we see in the local example, you are aware of the government offices. Have you visited one? In that government offices, whenever you visit, before visiting, like before interacting with the higher official, a P, none will always come to you, get your file and go inside. To the higher official, that P, none will get your file from you. Go to the higher official. From higher official, get the confirmation that sent him in, or the denial confirmation or the approval confirmation. Whatever that is, the P. None will come to you and give you the response. That only REST API is doing. It is taking your request to the server. From the server, it is getting the data. And once the data is fetched, whatever that is the denial or approval, that is sent to you. Got it now? Fair enough. And let's move ahead. HL7 does improve interoperability. Basically, HL7 standardizes the data exchange, allowing different systems to communicate seamlessly. By reading this statement, do you understand how interoperability is improved by using HL7? It's good. And any confusion or doubt? Until now, guys, with all this stuff which I have explained now to you, this whole process works. That's fine. Tomorrow is our Python session. I will show you how REST API will work. I will create a demo for you. Demo REST API I will create, and then we will be doing some practical stuff. Because we don't have the knowledge on the technical side. That is totally fine. No problem. We will have a demo on REST API also. Let me also. HL7 developer, the basic skill needed. What is the basic skill needed for getting into a developer? Basic Python, basic programming language, any of it. We are using Python here. Basic software and REST API basics. That's it. There is no rocket science. Guys, there is no rocket science. Everyone is doing that, even who does not have a prior knowledge to what patient is, what provider is what the US healthcare flow is. They are also doing it. Guys, this. As you saw in the previous slide, I was explaining you the basic terminology, what patient was. We are able to get how the TPAs are working and all the standards. But we are not able to connect with all these things at once. That is totally fine. Do not worry about all those stuffs. Just wherever you are stuck now, just note it down. Try to go to the internet. Try to search for that. And still again in the next section. If you have any doubt regarding that, just let me know. I will try my best to explain the techniques. Currently, if you are not able to understand REST API, that is fine. Just think of it like were you able to understand interoperability before we even learned about it? Now at least you are getting what interoperability is. Were you able to understand what HL7 Fire was? Now are you getting it for HL7? Fire is basically the standard. Similarly, if you are not getting Python and REST API, I now do not worry about it. We will go to the point and I will explain you what Python and REST API are. But the thing is, it is not as simple as understanding interoperability in Fire. We need to do some basic things on our own first. Go through the videos which I have shared. Try to complete the installation process. Try to understand the basic syntax and all, because that will be time consuming. And we don't have that. We don't have spare time for doing the syntax stuff. We can do it on our own. That's fine. But the REST API is basic in Python, basics which are needed for our major development purpose. We will be looking at it directly. Will you guys be able to cover the basics today? For REST API and Python. Great. Because tomorrow is about Python session and REST API session. I would request you to be prepared for that. And don't think about that. You are not getting it away. When we started this, you think of it like when we started, we were always. You did not get about interoperability. You did not get about Fire. What are the different versions of HL7? You did not know about even HL7. But now you are getting the things what HL7 is, what different versions of H7 are. How interoperability is implemented between two different systems. Do not worry about things. Things will take time, but they will fall into their places. Let's move on to exploring different Fire versions and what is the need of new versions. As we discussed, DSTO1 was the first version which was introduced using RESTful API for healthcare data exchange. But DSTO1 was a trial use version and not really was available to the public. Because the case was HL7 wanted to be secure and bug-free. There should not be any bugs or, let's say, difficulty in using Fire. Because Fire is totally a new version. When Fire was introduced, Fire was totally a new version. And if they introduce a new version with all the bugs and all the difficulties, people will hesitate to use this version. Do you get it? Yes? That is why HL7 decided that before introducing Fire to the real world people, we will create trial use for that. And in that trial use, we will give limited access to people. Like some of the people will have limited access and they will be voting all the things which they will encounter while using the trial version. Once that trial version was succeeded, DSTO2 was introduced. That is also a trial version, but that fixed all of the previous bugs related to the first version, that is the DSTU1. Some improvements were done in the DSTU2. All the bugs and all were fixed in DSTU2 which were encountered in DSTU1. After the successful trial of DST2, STU3 was released. ST3 introduced more standardized data format and allowed for deeper system integration. This is all wordings. Do not go on the wordings now. STU, think of it like after DST2 to STU3 was released for all the public. And everything which was to be fixed in DSTU1 and DSTU2, all the difficulties which were encountered in DSTU1 and DST2 were fixed in DSTU3. And that was available for the public to be used. Now the public gave feedback that they are encountering this problem, that problem. And based on that, the most stable version until now, the R4, the most widely used version in production, was released. R4 was the most stable version. Because of the previous 3 versions, they know what all problems were being faced by the people. And they solved that problem in R4. Got it. Now after R4, there is always a need for upgrade. There is always the data emerging day by day, and always people are trying to misuse. Also that there should be some security enhancement. Some more enhancements should be there. Oval. That is why R5 is developed. R5 is currently in development and based on the feedback from different version users, that is R4 user or ST3 user. Based on the feedback, R5 is being developed now. R5 currently is in beta stage. Any confusion or doubt why there are different versions and what different versions are used for? Let's take an example in your phone also. If you see there is always a system update after 2-3 months. Why is it? Because let's say if some of your apps are crashing or some on your phone is crashing, you always send a haptic report to the company. The phone automatically sends a haptic report to the company that when user tried to fetch this thing or try to access this application, the phone crashed or the application crashed. That feedback will be treated as a priority feedback by the company and the company will fix that problem in some time. And similarly, all the problems will be connected together, fixed together, and a new update will be provided. A global update will be provided. This is how things are working in FGIR, also based on the previous versions. Feedback, all the feedback, negative, positive, whatever they are. On the basis of that, R5 is being developed now. Similarly, on the basis of DSTU1, feedback DSTU2 was developed on the basis of DSTU2, DST3 was developed on the basis of DST3, R4 was developed. Now on the basis of R4's feedback, R5 is in development process. Got it? Any confusion or doubt in this? No question. In every version, like there are standardizing rules and like removing the bugs. Yes, bugs removal is there. There are more resources introduced and security is also improved. That all things are carried out in newer versions. Like how Android releases the different versions. Let me show you. You able to see my Chrome window. If you go to the home page of HL7 you can see this is the R5 release 5. There are different versions, that is R4, Beta, R4, R3, R2. These are all the versions. If you click on R4, we go to the release 4 version. This is R4 version of HIR. This is how newer versions are introduced. Got any confusion? I hope you guys are clear up until this point. Any confusion or doubt in this? No, now let's move on to our next slide, that is understanding USCD. How it compares an alliance with HR. USCD is US specific. Let's say HIR is a worldwide thing. Worldwide implementation. But the thing is, US government is more aggressive towards its users' data, its healthcare data. They treat it with more sensitivity and more care. The US government does not want their healthcare data to be exposed or compromised. That is why, on top of HR, US government has decided that on top of HR, every hospital clinic provider, practitioner will implement USCDI. That is the US core data for interoperability. It is also a standardized set of health data element required for exchange in the US healthcare. Let me give you an example. This one. Let's say inpatient resource. Inpatient resource in FGR, this is FGR. Keep note of it. Inpatient resource in FHIR does say that in the name it is not important to get the name data of a patient. You will not understand the cardinality and all for now. Just listen to me. FHIR says that HL7 says that it is not important to get the name data from the patient resource. If name is present, that is well and good. But if name is not present, that is also fine. But what USCDI does is, on top of FHIR, USCDI has some rules. Where is it? Where is it? Patient demographic information. Let me grab that thing first. This one. See US core patient profile. These are the mandatory and must support data elements list here. Let's say HIR says that if you are not having a patient name, that is fine. If you are having a patient name, that is also fine. But when HIR came to US government has some norms. They implemented UCD. According to the USCD, each patient must have a patient identifier, a patient name and a gender. According to the USCD, it is, for example, we are talking about name only. According to the USCDI, each patient should have a name. But when FetchI was introduced, HR told that patient can have a name or cannot have a name. That is up to the patient. That is fine if they do not have a name, or that is also fine if they have a name. But when FetchR was implemented in US government in US, basically the US government told no, this is not acceptable. And we will have our own set of rules on top of FHIR, and FHIR has to implement that if they want to operate in US. FHIR agreed to that, and FHIR said that US, specific to US, there will be some set of rules that will be called USCDI. And USCDI rules will be decided by the US government. US government told that every patient should have a name. This is the difference between USCDI and how we are implementing USCDI in FHR. This is just an example. There are many more such things, many more fields which needs to be implemented in FHIR, but this is just an example of name. I'm taking an example of name. You get it now? Any confusion or doubt? Why what is happening in FHIR and what is happening in USCDI? It's clear. In FHIR, we need not to have a name. It's not mandatory. Yes, it's not mandatory as per US rules, like FHIR has to adapt, like name has to be mentioned in the FHIR. Yes, exactly. According to the USCDI, if HIR wants to operate in US specific to US, but they need to follow USCI, they need to implement USCDI on top of HIR. The standard will be same. The storing structure, the information needed, whatever they are, they will be same. Every information will be gathered in first name, last name, given data. But the thing is basically on top of HIR, there will be some set of rules which US government will decide to operate in US. The US government said that a name is a mandatory field, but FHIR globally used said that name is not a mandatory field. If HIR want to operate in US, then they have to comply with USCD. When FHIR came to US, they said that name will be a mandatory field but for US specific, only in US. Ram Charan, any confusion, any doubt in USCDI? What USCDI is clear enough. Very good. Now, this is the last slide and this is just a chart I wanted to show you. In 1989, you can see this is the adoption rate on the y-axis and this is the time in years on x-axis. HL7 was introduced in 1989 and came into boom by 2014. Everyone was by 2014 and not only 2014, 19 also, everyone was using HL7 Almost 95% of the healthcare market was covered by HL7 v2. Then in 2003, HL7 was developed. In 2000 only HL7 v3 was developed, but in 2000 only HL7 v3 was developed. But in 2003, it was released for public use. But public never really used HL7 v3. They did not like the HL7 v3 itself. It never came into boom. You can see the boom chart here. It never was utilized by many people. It was never adopted to the fullest. Then soon after HL7 v3 was a flop, HL7 CDN, that is the document architecture, was released. Document architecture. I showed you this was in the form of document. it was a ease for doctors, also all practitioners, providers, for everyone it was the ease to just look at the documents. That is why H7 CDN was also a most popular one. But soon after H7, Fire was introduced. In 2014, and Fire came into boom after COVID because COVID-19 was a new variant. If you look at HL7 V2 chart, when COVID was introduced, new versions of new variant of COVID were also there, new vaccinations were there, new medications were there, new procedures for treating COVID were there, which HL7 V2 was not capable of. It was not capable of storing all this information for the newer versions. At that time, the downtrend came for H7 V2 after COVID. COVID changed many things for H7 V2, and then Fire was already introduced before COVID. People were looking at Fire that it can store all the information. It can store all of our information, and also it is very secure and all. After COVID, it came into boom. This is the boom trend of HL7 Fire, and still it is going up and up day by day. H7 V2 is degrading day by day. HL7 Fire is improving day by day. People are more adopting to HL7 Fire now. Got any confusion in this? This was the short introduction on HL7 Fire and different versions of HL7, different versions of Fire also. And what is UST? And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.